feature presentation.
Who? No, come on. What?
Horrible.
All right, so it didn't take long. First week, and we've already got quite the list of injuries that are going to, shake up the fantasy landscape. Some bigger than others. Some we have some clarity on. Some I'm sure we'll be finding out as the week goes on. But let's start right off the bat. Probably the first injury to break on Sunday was Tyreek Hill, wide receiver for the Chiefs. Left with a shoulder injury. The news did just come out that he's going to avoid the IR, but this could be multiple weeks. So, of course, big news for Hardman, for Watkins, maybe even for Kelsey. Mahomes didn't seem to miss a beat on Sunday, but, give us your thoughts if you think this is going to have any kind of negative effect on Mahomes, from losing him as a weapon and what it might do for some of the other receivers.
Well, I think it just goes to show how great Mahomes is when you could lose a top 5 receiver in the NFL and just say, okay, no problem, I'll throw it to Watkins, I'll throw it to any of these other guys. Demarcus Robinson's a name. They're saying they're not sure if it's going to be him or Hardman, but I think Hardman's the play because he's so similar to Hill. Watkins lit it up. I mean, what a performance by Watkins.
Wow, Sammy.
Sammy Watkins.
We see you.
I mean, he was a top draft choice, one of the best guys coming out of college. Then he was hurt, and he was on a crappy team, and now he's here, and he's healthy, and he's got the best quarterback in football throwing to him. So, listen, Hill's out. If you took Hill, you took him in the second round, and it's brutal. It's a brutal injury.
Absolutely.
If you handcuffed him, so to speak, which is kind of hard to do with receivers.
It's not common.
But Hardman was the guy they drafted because they anticipated him being suspended.
Absolutely.
So Hardman is the guy, I would think. But yeah, this is a bad injury. It's a tough injury. I don't think it affects Mahomes, to answer your question. I think Mahomes will throw it to Kelsey and Watkins and whoever else they put out there.
Right. And I think that's the key with Hardman is that offense runs the way it does with having that threat of somebody being able to take the top off the defense. So whether or not Hardman's going to get a lot of targets and is going to, benefit there, we'll have to see.
Right.
But I think, it makes sense that they drafted him because they thought Tyreek was going to be out. So they'll probably insert him and just make sure the defense has to still at least worry about what they can do.
Right.
So then I guess, really the question then maybe for fantasy owners is really Hardman. I mean, are you confident next week starting him, or are you taking a wait and see approach?
Wait and see. I'm going to wait and see if it's him or Robinson for sure, and then also where the distribution of targets is going to go. I mean, obviously Kelsey's going to get and Watkins are going to be the two hogs.
Right.
The guys out of the backfield catch a lot of passes. Obviously we talked about McCoy and Williams. So yeah, I would wait a week. But obviously, if you can pick him up on waivers, or if he's available, which he went late in drafts. Sometimes if it's a short bench, maybe not at all. So
absolutely, yeah. Hardman might be on. He's certainly a guy that we're going to touch on in the waiver episode because he might be out there on quite a few waivers. I got a question for you. Next week, Sammy Watkins or Adam Thielen?
Oh, Watkins,
right,
by a mile.
I mean, Watkins is just became a must start,
and I start them. If it's anybody who was drafted in the first 8 rounds, I'm putting them in over Thielen after Cousins threw for under 100 yards. It's just crazy.
That's So Thielen, Diggs, I mean, those guys,
I don't know what you do with them, to be honest with you. I mean, you probably just got to start them one more week and see if that was a common theme. But
Sammy Watkins.
He's back.
He's back. Did he ever leave us?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. All right, next bit of news on the quarterback front. Nick Foles, Jacksonville Jaguars. This is upsetting because, look, Nick Foles was playing well. He looked like he was playing well. He was spreading the ball around. Obviously you weren't expecting a huge fantasy season from Foles, but you were hoping that Foles' presence could lead, if you were a guy who took Westbrook, you were a guy who took that, late round shot on DJ Shark, even as a Fournette owner, the threat of at least a somewhat effective passing game helps there. So this one hurts. 8 weeks or more. I mean, he's out. It's as simple as that. His backup Minshew, look, he played okay.
Right.
He did. He actually
played pretty well.
Yeah. But just share your thoughts on how confident you are that Minshew can.
Zero confidence in Minshew. I mean, congratulations, good game, and not against a good defense. The Kansas City Chiefs are not a good defense.
Right.
So he was throwing. It was in throw mode. Made some completions. There's a few good receivers on Jacksonville, which I would have been much more excited about with Nick Foles. Now that he's out 2+ months, the whole offense, besides Fournette, is up in the air. Hopefully he's respectable enough to keep people honest. I think they're going to game plan against him. The game plan changed with Foles. You're going to have better defenses. So, yeah, I'm very worried about the entire Jacksonville offense without Foles.
Would you rather have Westbrook or Hardman right now going forward?
I'd probably say Westbrook as the team's number one. I'd still rather have him than a guy that's probably fourth on the Chiefs.
Well, we say number one, but you had Shark got involved and Chris Conley.
No, those guys were both good, but he's still, I think, they're number one. So I think I would err with him as the number one, especially since Minshew did look pretty good. So maybe he is competent. Right. I mean, when Jimmy G went down last year, there were a couple of bums that we never heard of that played respectable. They still made people relevant. So
you drop Baker Mayfield for Minshew too soon?
I don't have Mayfield. I would never take a bum like that as early as he was going.
Come on now. All right, another running back. Well, not another one. Our first running back, Tevin Coleman, high ankle sprain. It's not. We don't know exactly how long he's out, but it's going to be at least a couple weeks.
2 to 6, they're saying.
Yeah, 2 to 6. So
it's pretty wide.
Good luck trying to figure that out. You would think, well, hey, that's great news for all those owners who drafted Matt Breida. That means the backfield is all his. The maybe concern is that Matt Breida did not exactly light the world on fire yesterday against what is supposed to be a pretty vanilla defense in Tampa Bay.
Had terrible defense.
2.5 yards per carry. They do have Morstead. Is that how you say his last name?
Mostert.
Right, Mostert.
Mustard.
So talk to us there. I mean, obviously Coleman out. Do you feel that this gives Breida a bump? Better question, obviously. How much of a bump, and how confident are you that
I mean, listen, it was a 2-man backfield with Jerick McKinnon going under the knife, and now Breida just lost his competition. Obviously, Mostert is going to spell him. Jeff Wilson is another guy that's going to probably come up. But, I mean, Mostert looked better at 4.4 yards a carry versus the 2.5. But it's one game, and Breida's the guy right now. I don't think there's any doubt. But he's an undersized back, and we'll see. I mean, right now, if I'm Breida owner, I'm ecstatic. Because if he does run away with it a little bit when Coleman comes back, he was already kind of being spoken about as taking over the number one spot. I didn't really believe that. At least it wouldn't be in the red zone because Coleman excels in the red zone. So, right now, if you're Breida, I mean, you got to be really excited. This is great news for Breida owners.
I remember hearing a bit of a rumor that San Fran was a potential, spot for Melvin. So,
this injury
we just talked about it with taking injury. I don't know if San Fran feels that they're a Super Bowl contender and they would want to, lock themselves into his contract and what he's going to want. But, this is certainly.
I mean, any injury to a starting running back.
Yeah, you could see the fit there. You could certainly see the fit there in that Shanahan offense. So we'll see. All right, Mike Williams, knee injury. No news on how serious it is, but as of right now, nothing's broke. If Mike Williams, if this injury appears to be serious, obviously it's a nice bump for Keenan Allen, for Hunter Henry, even Austin Eckler out of the backfield. Have you heard anything? Is there anything I haven't seen?
No news yet. We'll see. I mean, knee injuries can be scary. It could be anything.
Of course.
Mike Williams, that would hurt. Rivers. Obviously, it's a big target, especially in the red zone. But as you said, it would bump up Hunter Henry, and Keenan Allen would get peppered with targets. He'd become like the Mike Thomas. Just throw to him every time you can, and he'll rack up so many catches and targets. So great news for Keenan. Rivers is able to find the complementary guys. He's a veteran. Put up big numbers this past week. So
they brought, I think they brought like Dontrell Inman back.
They brought back Inman.
Rivers will make it work.
They'll be okay, but it stinks because Mike Williams was, breakout candidate.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it's not bad news. Hopefully he's only out a week, or who knows? Maybe he's playing this week. Yeah. I hope it's not anything serious.
Well, if it breaks, two bald a-holes will be bringing it to you.
We are bald and we are a-holes.
Another injury that doesn't appear to be serious, and we haven't heard anything that would make us believe it is. That's running back Joe Mixon. Had a ankle injury, MRI to make sure everything was okay. Again, it looks like it's going to be fine. But Mixon did not have a very good game. I know it was against Seattle's defense. So we'll just play this out. If this does appear to be, if it ends up being an injury that he's going to miss some time, really all we can say is a nice bump for Gio, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, Mixon was behind that terrible line without A.J. Green. That team is just not really going anywhere. So I wasn't very excited about Mixon. Right. I skipped him every chance I had. When I drafted at the bottom in a lot of leagues, I never took him. So if this injury is serious, obviously anybody that took Mixon spent serious draft capital to get him.
Right.
At the very latest, it was the late second, usually more like early mid-second. So if he's out and you didn't get Bernard, you're in trouble.
Well, I mean,
you may be in trouble even if he's not.
I was just going to say, right?
I mean, he doesn't look that good. I mean, this whole offense is in disarray. So
if he's out and you have Bernard, you're probably thinking to yourself, I hope I have a better option.
Yeah, and you hope you're in PPR. That's for sure.
Right. This one, definitely a big piece of news, going to have a pretty big effect, and that is running back Darius Geis, knee injury. Darius Geis, this poor kid. I mean, he comes in, he's obviously got all the talent, all the skill. I mean, it was all there for him, and then he blows out his knee, and he just has not been able to stay healthy. He looked to be, fully healthy, and we started to get excited about what he could do in a full season, even though it wasn't a very good offense, but just with that amount of volume and different things like that. And then sure enough, it's, I guess related to the meniscus. So a few weeks, I guess, is optimistic. Talk a little bit about Darius Geis and obviously what this does for your boy.
Well, he was looking so good that they made AP inactive, a healthy scratch, and the team wasn't very happy about that. The veterans in the locker room. But now this guy's out. They're saying a few weeks, like you said, is on the optimistic side. So great news for AP. Chris Thompson, who's finally healthy, caught some passes this week. Those two are going to take over the backfield. They were up 17-0 on the Eagles. Very good team.
Yeah. So
Case Keenum was, one of the most disrespected guys who played real admirably, especially, when he was in Minnesota. This guy shipped off to a couple teams the last couple of years, but he's a competent guy. He's a competent veteran. And, I don't know, AP, he doesn't catch the ball. Thompson does. They're going to be in a lot of game scripts where they're coming from behind. So I'm not very excited about AP, but he is now the starter for as long as Geis is out. And I hope for Geis' sake, as you said, the kid's been through enough. I hope it's not a serious tear. I hope it's just a meniscus where he's out 2, 3, 4 weeks and he comes back, because he was hot and they were very excited about him.
But now, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you've got to label Darius Geis very firmly in the injury-prone category. He's going to be very tough to trust. I mean, so now, look, if it's a few weeks, you're going to keep him on your roster. Hopefully, you have an IR spot, and maybe if he does come back and you get a good game out of him, maybe try to trade him. And I don't know if you're going to want to rely on him throughout an entire season. Baker Mayfield, it's already come out that he's going to practice. I have a feeling he was just faking it anyways.
Trying to make an excuse for why he was so bad.
Like every time I have a bad podcast, I always, his throat, try to make up a reason.
So you must go through a lot of throat lozenges.
There's no reason to be an a-hole. There's no.
I'm a bald a-hole.
There's no place for being an a-hole on this show. I think that's about it for kind of the most impactful injuries. We've been watching the Monday Night Football game. Nothing's happened yet. So
Deshaun Watson had a little scare, but he's okay.
Yeah. And then some guy named Nuck. Champion. All right. You ready to play Panic or Don't Panic?
Yeah, I like that. Panic or Don't Panic. Let's do it.
All right.
People understand that soon.
Right off the bat, Christian Kirk, air raid offense. Not the greatest game, but certainly not a big game, and then obviously with Fitzy having, a really nice game. Panicked or not panicked on Christian Kirk?
I'm not going to panic on Christian Kirk. I think that they got to go in the second half, and I think that Murray will be fine. Probably some bumps and bruises in September as they try to get their feet under them. But long term, I like Christian Kirk. But I definitely think I would prefer Fitz. Yeah. He's just such a veteran. He's just so reliable.
So reliable. Absolutely. He, year after year, doesn't get the love, but just keeps doing it. Yep. All right. Curtis Samuel, wide receiver, Carolina Panthers.
I'm a little bit more worried about Curtis Samuel, a little more panic because Cam looks terrible. accuracy is off again. He doesn't look like he had nothing in his eye, no like will to play. He gives up. He's just got such a weird from the neck up. I don't know what's up with that guy. So yeah, I'm worried about Curtis Samuel. DJ Moore is definitely the top target.
All right.
I'm sorry, McCaffrey's the top target.
Right.
Then DJ Moore. Then Olsen.
Then Olsen.
Yeah, I'm worried about Cam Samuel.
Yeah, the Olsen thing really worries me. I don't think there's going to be enough to go around, especially with McCaffrey, man. The way that just they can run the whole offense through him. They really don't need to involve those other guys that much. Leonard Fournette, panicked or not panicked?
No, I'm not panicked. I think the injury to Foles is just going to make the team just lean on him more and try to play defense. They play the Chiefs. Nobody stops the Chiefs. No defense can stop the Chiefs except maybe Belichick. So I'm not panicked about Fournette. He looked good. He gets involved in the passing game. He's got no competition there. Just needs to stay upright. Yeah,
that's the encouraging thing. Certainly the involvement in the passing game.
Yeah, 6 targets. That's nice. Yeah.
Absolutely. Robbie Anderson, wide receiver Robbie Anderson.
No, not worried about him. He was a little banged up. He was questionable. He played. They went to Crowder this game. I think they played a little conservative, but I think they'll open it up and he'll have a lot of big plays. And he finished the last half of the season hot. So I think that Crowder will help him more than hurt him.
Maybe a better question: are you panicked that Robbie Anderson is the same Robbie Anderson that he's been, where he is very boom or bust? Where this year, some people felt that he was going to start being a little more consistent, better route runner, different things like that. But, with Crowder getting 17 targets, I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, it was a lot of targets. But he didn't go down the field to Crowder. It was just short passes. I think that as he gets the rust off, he'll start throwing it down the field and using that arm. And I think Robbie will be fine.
And plus, like you mentioned, Robbie was banged up. So, Brandon Cooks, worried or panicked, not panicked?
I'm not a fan of Brandon Cooks. He's the biggest hit or miss guy in the NFL, one of the biggest. I'm a much bigger fan of Woods and Kupp and their consistency, and I think they could play defense, run the ball with Brown now and Gurley, and I don't think they're going to need to throw in as much. And if they do, there's 3 guys. So yeah, I'm worried about him. Where he was taken, I think it was a reach.
All right. Devontae Freeman. Panicked, not panicked?
I'm not really worried. I don't like the fact that Ito Smith got just as many carries, but I don't know if that was just... I don't know what the game plan was with that. Ito Smith is not nearly as good of a runner as Freeman. Freeman's a veteran. He catches the ball better. That Vikings defense looks to be one of the best. So I'm going to let him have a pass this week. And if Freeman has this happen again next week, then I'll be a little bit more worried. Right now, I'm looking at him and I'm a little shaky, but he went at the end of the 3rd for a reason. He's definitely not a sure thing. So,
but I kind of felt like Freeman's, draft cost was more baked into his injury concern than his just flat out lack of performance. But hey, Minnesota, right? Absolutely, certainly a good defense. Joe Mixon.
Super concerned about Joe Mixon. Was going in, avoided him like the plague. Offensive line's terrible. Andy Dalton's blah. AJ Green's out for the foreseeable future. I'm just not liking him. He's banged up. We don't know what's going on with him. So with the knee issue and everything, I'm worried about Mixon for where you took him.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle, tight ends, Indianapolis Colts.
I like the Colts. I like Brissett. I don't know why they got so few targets between the two of them. I think they had 5 targets.
5 targets or something.
Or something like that. No, they were combined 2 catches of 5 targets, and then Funchess had 5. Funchess is done, so I think that helps them out. He was their big play receiver that almost is like a tight end. So without Funchess, I think that some targets will open up. I don't know if the team can carry 2 tight ends and have consistent week to week. I think T.Y. Hilton and Mack are going to be your consistent playmakers, and I think that one week Doyle might have a big game, one week Ebron, but to get consistency out of them, you don't want them as your number one.
I don't think you want either one of them.
Drafted either one of them as your number one. But I'm wondering if they're even worth the depth with all the tight ends that are emerging right now.
Right, absolutely. Wide receiver Mike Williams.
I hope he's okay. I don't know about that knee. Keenan Allen's obviously the number one regardless. Keenan Allen's got a checkered injury history, so if Mike Williams is okay and Keenan gets banged up, I think Mike Williams can have a monster year. Without that, with Hunter Henry, with Eckler, they're going to throw the ball a lot, but, I'm not super worried. I hope his knee's okay, but obviously if he's got a knee issue and it's serious, well, then that's it for him. But
all right,
if he's healthy, I don't have much of a concern.
Okay. So healthy Mike Williams, we're not panicked yet. Going to wait and see. Injured, of course. Well, it changes everything. Kerryon Johnson.
Carry on your wayward son. Am I panicking? No, I'm not panicking. I still think he's going to be okay if he doesn't get injured. C.J. Anderson is going to be the battering ram. I don't know about, I don't know what was going on this weekend. Amendola caught a lot of passes. Obviously, you got Galladay, you got Marvin Jones, you got the tight end Hawkinson now. So in the passing game, I'm worried. I'm not thinking he's going to catch that 60, 80 balls that Riddick when he left.
Right.
I do think he's going to be a boomer bust guy because he's not going to get the goal lines, and he may not be the third down guy. So yeah, I'm worried about him for where you took him. I think people got overexcited about his upside, and I think now his floor is coming into view as a much more significant floor than we thought.
Well, I think the passing game thing. I mean, that's if you're not involved in the passing game, it's very difficult to be a top tier running back.
Absolutely.
We've seen it.
Especially if you don't get goal line.
Yeah, like Blunt pulled it off that year because he had 18 or whatever. Fournette somewhat, but even Fournette, what we talked about, kind of under the radar, gets involved in the passing game a little bit.
Right.
So absolutely,
too early to panic completely, but you got to be a little bit worried.
Yeah, carry on was 16 carries to C.J. Anderson's 11.
Right.
They both pretty much did the same thing with them. Neither of them were very good. So, but yeah, certainly would like to see carry on at least get worked into the passing game a little bit. Calvin Ridley.
I'm giving everybody on Atlanta a pass, from Freeman to Ridley to Julio, who salvaged this game with a touchdown. The Vikings are ferocious. I think that defense is much better than people thought it was going to be, and I think we just got to let them settle in. They play a lot of games in a dome this year. Ironically, last week was one of them, but they play a lot of dome games, and they play very well in the dome. And I know Matt Ryan and the offense coordinator, they'll figure out what went wrong, besides the fact that they played a ferocious defense. I think they'll be great. I think this week they're going to have a huge week, and I think it'll settle people's minds. And I think Ridley, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that catch balls. And Austin Hooper had 9 targets. Julio's going to always demand double digits. You also have old man Sanu that doesn't seem to go away, and you got Freeman out of the backfield. So I don't know if he's going to be consistent. I think
even Justin Hardy with 5 targets.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think he'll be as consistent as you want. He's more of a flex, but I think he'll be okay when you see his overall numbers at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, look, you see Matt Ryan have 46 attempts, throw for 300 yards, and, Ridley, look, he did catch the touchdown, so that's there. But
he was a little boomer bust last year. I mean, you got Julio opposite you. What do you
absolutely.
Austin Hooper, people just disrespect him, but he's a target hog, and he never drops the ball. 9 for 9. I mean, so. But
I feel like, and I feel like that's what was confusing for me when I was watching drafts this year and seeing where Ridley was going. It was like, wait a minute, nothing changed.
Right.
He was boomer bust last year because of the fact that he has, the other options there in that offense. Speaking of Matt Ryan. So why we felt Calvin Ridley was going to be anything different, I think.
Yeah, I'm surprised that people thought that just because of his talent. But you got Julio Jones, who's got that huge contract, and he's there till 2023. So he's always going to play second fiddle and maybe even third with Hooper.
Yeah. All right. And our final panic or not panic, wide receiver Tyler Lockett. This was interesting.
Tyler Lockett, I'm not panicked at all. He's still the number 1 there. The problem is it's a low output offense. It's a conservative, run the ball, play defense. And as we said about the Vikings, I don't know if the Seattle defense is anywhere near as good as the Vikings, but it's going to be a good defense under Pete Carroll always. They brought in, what's his name from Houston? Clowney. Clowney, sorry. And obviously Bobby Wagner, and they have some pieces there. So I think they're going to play defense. They're going to run the ball, and when they do throw it, though, Lockett will be the guy that'll get most of those targets. He didn't get a lot of targets last year, but he did a lot with them. Yeah. A lot of touchdowns. I think he had 10 touchdowns with limited targets. So I think that he'll be fine. A little regression in touchdowns, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Lockett seemed to be the guy who was going to most benefit from the fact that David Moore gets injured and they release Jerron Brown and all that. But DK Metcalf, 6 targets, and Chris Carson, 7.
Yep.
Chris Carson, he could be really, really good this year if he stays healthy. Right. Look, it's similar. It's not. I don't think it's as extreme as in Minnesota, where you had Cousins throwing, making 10 attempts, but Russell Wilson only 20 attempts. So especially when they're playing a team like the Bengals, they don't have to do much.
Yeah.
I think the challenge for Lockett is going to be, games like this where it's just not needed.
Right.
Russell's throwing a lot. So
yeah, when they play in their division, those 6 games in the division, they're going to have to put up some points.
Yeah.
They're going to have to throw to keep up some of those.
Yeah, they're not going to play the Bengals every week.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they'll be fine. Lockett will be fine. I wouldn't panic on Lockett at all.
All right, so as a quick recap, in our Costanza category, we are panicked about Curtis Samuel, Cam Newton for that as well, Brandon Cooks, Joe Mixon, and that's it. Oh, you know what? We forgot somebody. Last one, the San Francisco 49ers offense as a whole. Panicked or not?
Not worried about it. No, Shanahan's too smart. Jimmy G's. He's a competitor. They'll be fine. I'm worried about. I mean, they're just outside of Kittle. I really don't know who's going to step up. Deebo Samuel looked good. It was supposed to be Pettis. He didn't even start the game. You got Goodwin. I mean, I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll be fine. Not panicked at all.
Yeah, you're right. Outside of Kittle, no other pass catcher had more than 3 targets or 3 catches, and that was Deebo Samuel. So. Right. Yeah, maybe the battle's still going on for who's gonna have what roles in that offense, like you said, beyond Kittle.
Eckler inside his blocks, 40, 35, still on his feet, and gonna go the rest of the way. Championship.